started. No, I didn't. Be ridiculous.
You're on.
Oh, hey everybody, happy Father's Day, and welcome back to my kitchen. If you were here last week, I did my first ever live Facebook stream, and I shared with you how I go about getting all of my meals for the whole week ready and made and in my fridge in under 1 hour. So I use this really cool subscription system called 5 Dinners in 1 Hour, and I think my hubby has put a link and all the info up in the top, along with a list of all of the recipes that we're gonna cook this week. But basically, to be really quick, 5 Dinners in 1 Hour is a system that lets me pick from a couple of meal plan options. There are classic recipes, there are cleaning and eating recipes, or you can buy the combo plan, and then you get to choose from 120 recipes every month. And every month, 20 from each plan drops off and you get 20 new ones. So you always have a minimum of 40 new things to choose from. And I'll tell you, I've never had a problem finding something I wanted to cook. In fact, this week, when I went through and selected all of the recipes I wanted to make, I had 8. And because it's called 5 Dinners in 1 Hour, I had to go back and trim some off. So sadly, I had to drop off the soup, the weekly soup. But don't worry, Jonathan will get his soup, and I'm going to make that after we are finished this live stream. So what are you guys doing for Father's Day? If you are cooking, maybe give me a thumbs up and tell me what you're cooking when you hop on. And if you know anybody who dreads the what's for dinner or mom I'm hungry, or is always tempted to eat out or order in that pizza, somebody's looking to get a little bit healthier or save a little bit of money on their grocery budget, feel free to don't save the video, share the video on your Facebook, and they can find out a little bit about cooking, because I'm going to share that, and a lot about the system. So I'm going to get started. This week I decided that since today was Father's Day, that the first thing we're going to cook is cilantro lime shrimp. And it's only going to take me about 5 minutes to put together. And we are going to serve it with flank steak, which I'm not going to show you. My tech guy is making funny faces at me. So, gonna serve it. So we're gonna make cilantro lime shrimp. Gonna serve it with flank steak. Gonna serve it with a southwestern rice and some grilled veggies. After that, we're gonna make some southwest chimichangas. We're gonna make easy Salisbury steak meatballs, which I've made before, and everybody licked their plates, and it's a super quick one, so I'm gonna make that one again. Going to make pesto chicken stuffed portobello mushrooms, which I haven't made before, but my hubby's looking to just eat a little bit healthier and lighter, so that one seemed like a really good option. And sweet teriyaki chicken. This one says legs, but I don't really like chicken legs, and I love chicken thighs, so I've bought chicken thighs instead. And that's one of the really cool things about the system, is that you can just adjust to what your family likes. If you don't like something, just substitute it out. And then last but not least, I'm going to make some Hawaiian Ham Quesadillas, which for us probably isn't dinner. It's more like a snack that the kids can throw together and pop in the oven when they come home from school and they're starving. We're going to get started because we only have an hour, and I'm going to keep it to under an hour. So for the cilantro lime shrimp, first we're going to get together all of the ingredients that are actually going to go into the rice. So I've got fresh tomato, which I'm just going to dice up. I like to use vine ripened tomatoes. They actually have flavor all year round. They're a little bit more expensive, but I think it's worth it. Some of those tomatoes are just really chalky in the middle of winter. And of course, the best ones are the ones that come out of your garden. So if you're growing veggies, This would work with cherry tomatoes too. And basically what we're making is some tomatoes and some seasoning. It's going to go into the rice, which I cook in a big steamer, and I often make enough rice for the entire week. So I got some tomatoes, and that was a juicy one. And I was contemplating using 2, but I think I'm just going to stick to the recipe, which is unusual for me. So anybody on here? Kathy's on here. What's Kathy going to cook for Father's Day? All right, so I got my tomatoes, and then it says to take 1 can of black beans. So I have the black beans, and I rinsed and I drained them, and I'm just going to throw them in and get rid of the can. And 1 cup of corn, frozen corn I'm using. Frozen corn is better in these kinds of recipes, I find, than the canned corn. Canned corn is kind of mushy, and when you mix it up, it doesn't have such a nice texture. To this, we're going to add some fresh lime, which is where we start to get into the southwestern flavors. So we're adding a tablespoon of lime juice, and you can use a fancy squeezer if you want. I'm just not a measurer so much, but I'll tell you that this is a nice juicy lime, and it smells delicious. Okay, so fresh lime juice, 1 tablespoon, and then chili powder, back in my favorite spot, stuck up on my microwave. 1/2 teaspoon of chili powder. And I got new measuring spoons because my kids were cooking and they broke my old ones. I have no idea how they managed to do that, but I guess boys will be boys. So sprinkle on this 1/2 teaspoon of chili powder, 1 teaspoon of dried cilantro. It's also known as coriander. It's that spice that, or seasoning that some people love and some people think tastes like soap. So I love it. James used to think it tasted like soap, but he's either being nice to me and just eats it, or he's developed a taste for it. I'm not really sure which one. And then salt and pepper to taste. So more salt than you think. It's not really that much. And some pepper. Again, a little bit more than you think. And then this, I'm going to stir it up. And basically, after this, when I cook my rice, I'm going to use a nice long grain rice. I'm going to cook it in the steamer. I'm going to add this to it. And that's going to be our side dish to go with the flank steak and the cilantro lime shrimp. And that is all that takes. The lime juice basically makes the dressing. And I'm kind of surprised there's no garlic in there, but there's lots of garlic in the shrimp. So I'm going to let it go this time. Okay. Shrimp. Everybody's favorite little gadget. A little baggie holder. So this says to use 2 pounds of peeled, deveined raw shrimp. So we took the little tails off because you don't want to be spitting your tails out. So this is going to go right into my bag. And I bought these that were already deveined because nobody's got time to do that. And then I made one of my kids help me peel them. Super good trick that I taught the boys is I always peel my shrimp when they're still a little bit frozen, because then they're easier just to pull the tail off and the whole shell comes off. So it takes a lot less time. It's a lot less fiddly. Okay, shrimp, 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Oh, hi Lisa, hi Brendan, hi Sandra. Sandra, did you decide, are you going to cook that flank steak or are you going to order out? All right, 2 tablespoons of olive oil. I don't measure. I know, I don't measure. 4 teaspoons of minced garlic. Thank goodness, because I'm not sure I could have a meal without garlic. And I'm going to put heaping teaspoons because there's no garlic in the rice, and that makes me sad. Okay, so that's 4 teaspoons of minced garlic. And yes, this is a jumbo jar of minced garlic. And like I said, I generally prefer to use fresh garlic, but when I'm doing meal prep, this just makes it quicker. Cilantro. So we're just building on the flavors, those Southwest flavors that are in the rice. And we're going to add a teaspoon of dried cilantro. And if I had remembered when I was at the grocery store this morning, I would have bought some fresh cilantro, but I forgot. Because I just find it has a little bit more of a punchy, a little bit more of a burst of citrus flavor than the dried, but that's okay. This is going to be good. And then lime juice. So this is one of the only times I would say don't add more than it says. If you add too much acid to shrimp, it actually cooks the shrimp. So we're making a marinade. We want it to have the flavor of the lime, but we don't want to cook the shrimp because then we'd have shrimp ceviche. And what I want is grilled shrimp. Okay, lime juice. Nice, fresh, good, finished. And that is all she wrote for that one. So this is what we're going to cook tonight. You could skewer it if you had like really big shrimp. These are not that big. So I'm going to put them in one of those veggie grill pan things on my barbecue. And they're going to be delicious. Okay, meal 1. Hello, hello, Sandra. Are we cooking flank steak or what? Okay, meal 1, finished. Just gonna get rid of that. Now we're gonna go to meal 2. I'm gonna flip my cutting board over. And the next thing we're gonna make is Southwest Chimichangas. Again, kind of a southwestern flavor to it. Got some healthy veggies in there, so if you want to hide the veggies from your kids, you can. And this one needs, where did I put all of those things? Here. Okay. Got the bucket. This one starts with, this is a combination of roasted chicken, so I bought the rotisserie chicken from Loblaws, took it off the bone, shredded it all up. You can use dark meat if you like, you can use white meat if you like. You can make your own. It's a shortcut. My lovely assistant is moving my stuff around again. All right, so spinach, healthy part. So I used frozen spinach. If you've cooked spinach from its raw state, you know you need about this much, and then when you cook it down, you get this much. So this is one of the times that I actually like to use the frozen chopped spinach. And you defrost it, and then you push really hard to get the water out of it, because the water content in spinach is insane. Okay, spinach. Done. It says 1 belly roasted chicken. So from experience, I can tell you that's about 2 cups. And I shredded it all up. And I like the roasted chicken because it's already seasoned and flavored. It's cheap at Costco. It's tasty. And it's fast. So even though it's a little more expensive sometimes than making your own shredded chicken, it's still way cheaper than eating out. Especially if you got 3 teenage boys who eat like horses. Okay, so I have 2 chickens in this bowl. One is for a different dish we're going to make after. So we have spinach, and we have chicken, and we have corn. And again, since we're making the southwestern flavor, I'm using this corn that has the jalapenos in there. If you don't like those, that's much spice, just use regular frozen corn. 2/3 of a cup. So, about that much. All right. Did I get all of that off of one of those chickens? 2. That was 2 chickens in there. All right. Corn. More black beans. Black beans are really good. High in fiber, low in salt. Healthy, filling, and not too mushy. My kids don't like mushy things. I don't know, kids are weird like that. They don't like all those textures, right? So black beans. Back to my chili powder. 2 teaspoons. 2 teaspoons of chili powder. Nicely, very elegantly labeled for my boys. Because Jacob is starting to cook more. And sometimes we end up with some funky recipes if I don't label. Okay, a little bit more chili powder just for fun. Depends if you like it spicy or not. And this is just regular chili powder. You can also use chipotle chili powder. It's a little smokier. All right, cumin. That is I think we talked about cumin last week. I love the way it smells. It is in fajitas. It's a little bit lemony in its scent, but not really in its taste. 1 teaspoon, so I don't put enough. Okay. And then salt. So I know lots of people these days are either going low carb or gluten free, and this one does use flour tortillas, but if you were doing gluten free, then you could still make this filling. You could stuff it inside a pepper. You could use a corn tortilla instead. If you make them using just cornmeal, so it's called masa harina, or you can buy corn tortillas at the grocery store. And I'm pretty sure there's these days gluten-free tortillas. Lisa would be able to tell us. Okay, salt. Now the good stuff. Cheese. Can't have a Mexican chimichanga without cheese. So the difference between a chimichanga and an enchilada, so it's got similar flavors inside. I'm putting in 1.5 cups of shredded whatever kind of cheese you like. This says Monterey Jack. This one is a combo of Monterey Jack and a little bit of mozzarella because it's nice and gooey. And that's about 1.5 cups. And we're good. I noticed Brendan was on here. Brendan, did you go up to Canada's Wonderland yet? You are a roller coaster junkie. That's what Brendan likes to do for fun. Okay, so now I have this big old bowl of filling, and all that cheese is going to melt when you bake them. And like I said, they're going to be nice and crispy. And when I serve it, I'm going to make some guacamole and going to serve with salsa and sour cream. Because Josh won't eat anything Tex-Mex without sour cream. It's his favorite part. Okay, so that's the filling. Tortillas. Ready. And a baking dish. My kitchen's really tiny. So I'm going to spray the baking dish so that it's ready. And then I'm going to show you how you roll these guys up. So you don't be cheap. Whoops, not a good spoon. Oh, okay. And I'm going to put all this filling in here. Okay, like I said, don't be cheap. Nice and full. Right in the middle. Fold it in. Tuck. And roll it. And that's it. Into the baking dish. I can't really tell where the camera is. So that's one. All right. Right, Sandra? This looks so good. Do you think your boys would eat it? Would Dawn eat it? Does Dawn eat spinach? Even if he didn't, you know, you could make this for you. You could then have it for lunch for work. And sometimes that's what I do. And then I make the kids try it anyways. And they surprise themselves at the things they like. So tuck it in again, fold over, and roll. I'm not gonna lie, my days working at McDonald's make me a really good burrito chimichanga roller. So I'm just gonna make 6 of these. They're a pretty decent size. Serve it with salad, rice, whatever kind of side you're feeling like. The other thing about the subscription program is it will tell you what to serve it with. So this one says on cooking day you need to make a salad, you need tortilla chips, and you need some salsa. And that's dinner. So we're on number 3. Spinach is well hidden. Yep. They won't even know. Don't tell them. They like tacos. Tell them it's like our taco roll up. All right. Almost done. This one. And if your shell breaks, don't worry. Just put that side down. And that's another good tip. When you're rolling them and you're putting them inside your baking dish, you're gonna put the seam side down, so then when it's baking it doesn't like open up and all your good filling falls out. Alright, this recipe said it made enough for 6. It lied. It made enough for like 10. So that's a bonus. Okay. And I'm gonna squeeze one more guy in there. Oh, see? If you don't place it seam side down, that's what happens. I don't even follow my own advice. Alright, back I go. And I saw Jess, you hopped on. How you doing with that good news? I heard that we're having a little Starbucks green bean. There's something in the water over there at Starbucks. Lots of people having babies. Hey, Paul Schroeder. I have not seen you in a very long time. I hope you are having a nice Father's Day. So guys, if you know anybody who has trouble getting dinner on the table, tell them about, share these videos, tell them. So that's it. That's dinner for my family, meal number 2. And I don't know how long we've been cooking, but that's meal 2 done. Alright. And I have this much left over, so I'm going to make more, and I'm going to freeze them. And then that'll save me a bunch of work on another day. Okay. Meal 3. Meal 3 is a real kid pleaser. Sandra, I think your boys would really like this. This is easy Salisbury steak meatballs. I know James enjoyed them. And basically on prep day, we make everything for the gravy and the sauce. And then on cooking day, you can use frozen meatballs. I'm not going to judge. You can use homemade meatballs. Or in the grocery store these days, you can buy the pre-made fresh ones and you would just fry those up and then add the sauce. Okay, so I need a new bowl. And I need a whole new plan. Okay. Need all that stuff, but that's all we need. So this one says take 4. I'll move all some of this noise out of the way. Right. Okay, 4 tablespoons of butter. I like these sticks. It's got all the little cheating marks on there. take your butter, and we're going to melt the butter. And I hate where my microwave is because I'm too short. Okay, so we're going to melt the butter, and then we're going to put in, it says frozen chopped onion, and again, I don't really like frozen chopped onion, so I just chop up a couple of onions before I start cooking, and I stick them in my little bowl, and then we're good to go. So we have that, and we have sliced mushrooms. I got creminis. Creminis have a little bit more flavor than those standard white sliced mushrooms. A little richer, earthier. Okay, melted butter, 1 cup of onion. This is me and my scientific measuring again, but it tastes good. 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce. All right. Oh, and I'm only measuring for you guys because I don't usually measure. But it's interesting when you do, you discover 2 tablespoons is actually way more than you think it is. Usually you would just do a couple of those and you think you were done. And then it wouldn't taste as good. 1.5 cups of beef broth. So this is basically the gravy. Then you fry up your meatballs. You stir that in with a cornstarch slurry to make it nice and thick. And you've got Salisbury steak meatballs, mashed potatoes, or cauliflower rice if you're behaving. And I'm going to chop up some of these so they're a bit smaller, and the rest I'm going to put in whole. So just chop those into pieces so you have some in every bite. And that's it. Okay, I probably should have used a big bowl, but I didn't. And then we'll stir it up. All right. I'm noticing Kathy never said what she was going to cook for Father's Day dinner. Probably hot dogs. Okay. So that's the gravy. And on, like I said, on the day of, you choose mashed potatoes, serve it with some peas, sugar snap peas. I like asparagus. Whatever kind of green veggie that your family would enjoy eating, you can cook. Meal 3, done. I'm basically going to put this in a big Tupperware container and put it in my fridge until later this week. So that is finished. All right. What are we doing next? Oh, pesto chicken stuffed portobello mushrooms. So portobellos, everybody calls these like the vegetarian steak. So I got these fresh today, and so portobellos are really big and really meaty in flavor, and with mushrooms they really absorb a lot of moisture, so you don't want to wash them. Whoops. But you do want to clean them because of course they grow in the earth. So these were already pretty clean and nice. I got these at Loblaws. You can find these almost anywhere. And this is the base for our meal. And we're basically going to fill this with chicken and pesto and cheese, and fill that up in here and put it in a baking dish and bake it. And it's going to be delicious, completely healthy, completely gluten-free, and it only takes 15 minutes. So we've got our portobellos. And I'm going to spray because I don't want them to stick. mushrooms are really full of water, and oh, it's like mushroom Tetris here. And I'm just going to take away, nothing wrong with this part, but I want to be able to get more good chicken and cheese in there. Okay. Come on, dude. You can do it. No, can't really. Okay. Well, that's an adventure. It might need 2 baking pans. That's what it might need. All right. So there, the mushrooms are ready. I'm going to set them over here. And then we're going to go to the rest of the ingredients, which are really, really simple. Mozzarella cheese, pesto, and shredded chicken. So my aunt every year makes fresh pesto, and it's delicious. And she makes a huge batch, and she always brings me some. Pesto is fresh basil, olive oil, pine nuts, and Parmesan cheese. Nothing not to love. Sadly, we used it all. So I'm going to use a prepared pesto. I have basil growing out in my yard. And I think this year I'm going to make up a big batch. I had actually last year looked to find out how I could make my own pesto and can it, but you can't. You can only freeze it. So 1/3 of a cup of pesto. You can measure. I don't want to measure. So I want 1/3 of a cup of pesto. Maybe a little more. And I want 3 cups of mozzarella cheese. Oh yeah. Delicious. Okay. Get rid of these runaway mushrooms. Okay. 3 cups of mozzarella cheese. And that's all this one needs. Pesto is really flavorful. You don't add salt because Parmesan cheese is quite salty, and that's inside the pesto. And the cheese blend I'm using, which is mozzarella, I've also got a little bit of Gouda in there. That's going to add salt. And people can always salt it at the table if they want. So, James, how many times have I said so? Hey Natalie, how are you? Hi Maggie, how you doing? All right. Okay. Simple. Load her up. Okay, this smells delicious. Somebody's got to invent smell-o-vision. I know we've been talking about it for years. No such luck yet. So, into your mushrooms you go and pack it in there. Mound it up. The cheese is going to melt. And this one is super fast. 15 minutes in the oven, uncovered. Cheese will be melted. And every single one of these recipes has said it would serve 6. And that's the other thing about the plan, is you can size the recipes, and when it prints out your grocery list for you, it'll adjust. So I always pick 6, unless I know I'm having company. And there's one sad little small one over there, so I'm going to give it more filling. Use your hands. We're just cooking. I washed mine before. Chefs have the cleanest hands, that's what they say. All right. I want to eat these. Okay. And then I'm going to pop the lid on that. Ooh. I lost my tea towel. Okay. Pesto chicken stuffed mushrooms. If your kids really won't eat those mushrooms, put it in half a bell pepper. If they won't eat it in a bell pepper, cook it up and put it on top of cooked rice and bake it. Heaven on a plate, or love on a plate, as I say. You can also take pasta, toss it with cooked pasta, and bake it in the oven. So really, really flexible. Okay. That's meal 4. Is it really? No. 1, 2, 3. Yes, 4. Huh. I have 6 on my list today. I'm not a good counter. Okay. I'm going to regroup, throw all this stuff out. I'm going to make sweet teriyaki chicken legs next. Jacob loves Asian food. Don't get all weird. This one's not like authentic, and I didn't make the teriyaki from scratch, but I could. So we're going to start with, I bought teriyaki sauce just to make my life easy. And it wants 1/4 cup. And in my house, we like the sauce the best. So I'm going to use 1/3 cup because we're saucy, juicy people. And then 1/4 cup of honey. So pro tip, honey's really sticky and you pour it in there and then it gets all stuck. So just spray the inside of your little measuring cup with some ham or whatever this is from Costco and measure your 1/4 cup. And it like literally slides out and you don't waste any because honey is like obscenely expensive. Okay, honey, sesame seeds. Hi, honey. I said honey and James looked over. He's really cute. Okay, 2 tablespoons of sesame seeds. 1, 2. Okay, Meg, I think Kyla would eat this. All right. I'm gonna stir it up. It smells delicious, and it's so simple, but so flavorful. And last week I made a lot of Tex-Mex flavored things, so this week I decided to change it up a bit. All right. The meal plan often says, put it in a Ziploc bag and squish it around. And then lots of people complain about the use of the Ziploc bag so much. I don't worry about that so much, but since I bought these Pyrex dishes, might as well just use those, and then there's less waste. And then the kids can just throw the whole thing in the oven for me before I get home, and then dinner's on the table. Who sent me a heart? I love it when you send me hearts. Okay, chicken thighs. So you can use chicken legs or drumsticks. You could use white meat, the breast, but it's going to be a little bit drier, so you got to make sure to not overcook when you use chicken breast. And if you want to use a combination, because you have some people who like one over the other, you can do that too. Just cut your chicken breasts into like a similar size piece to the thigh, because they're generally thicker and bigger and they take longer to cook. So you don't want to have like raw chicken breast and overcooked chicken thighs. Okay, so I fill this up using tongs so I don't get any salmonella everywhere. James is always teasing me about salmonella poisoning, although he has never once had food poisoning. Okay.
Well, on TV they have a slight case of salmonella.
Oh, on TV they have a slight case of salmonella. And then you drizzle all of this delicious sauce over top. And this is going to sit in the fridge and it's going to marinate. And then, what does it tell me to do? Oh, it tells us to bake it. So it can stay exactly in this dish. It says to serve it with broccoli and that steamed rice, which I already said I make a whole big rice cooker full of rice, usually on Sundays or Mondays. Okay, so that one's done. That's 5 meals. In how long, James? Oh, he's slacking.
Just fascinated in watching.
Ah, he's fascinated in watching. Okay.
38 minutes.
38 minutes. Won't lie, I did some prep. I got all my ingredients out, and when you're prepping on prep day, like I highly recommend, get your recipe ingredients out, tell the kids to go away, take the hour, take you 15 minutes to clean up after, but then every night this week, I know what we're having for dinner. We're going to be able to pop it in the oven or barbecue it. There's going to be minimal dishes, and then you have all of that free time to like go out and spend doing something fun. Not that cooking isn't fun. All right, the very last thing, which I decided I was going to throw in, was Hawaiian Ham Quesadillas. And this is kind of to make up to Jonathan for the fact that I didn't make him any soup yet. This has cream cheese, pineapple. I know it sounds weird, just work with me. Black forest ham and some red chili peppers. Jonathan loves Hawaiian pizza, loves it. Me, I'm not really a fan. I just don't like that pineapple in there. So I'm gonna cut the ham into pieces. This is definitely a kid-friendly favorite. And basically the recipe tells you to make the filling, and then either for snacks or for dinner, if you were gonna serve this with a salad, you could totally make this for dinner. It's just my hungry 3 teenage boys would find it not enough of a meal, even if I made soup with it. All right, so ham. Mix in 8 ounces of cream cheese, and I buy the whipped kind of cream cheese for this because it mixes in a lot better. And all we're doing today is making the filling. So again, I'm gonna stick this in the fridge. I'm gonna leave the instructions for the boys on how to put them together, and they actually know how to make quesadillas because we make quesadillas pretty often. Okay, just for Jonathan, crushed pineapple. I know, but we're gonna do it, and he's gonna like it. All right, and you mix all of this up, and you pop it in the fridge, and then when you want to eat it, you just spread the amount that you want on a tortilla. Here, I'll finish mixing. Okay, it actually doesn't look as horrible as I thought. Probably tastes pretty good. Okay. Oh, I'm making a mess right at the end. And a little bit of red chili flake, I think, just to take away a little bit from how sweet this is. Put in how much you like. Stir it in. And you got snacks for days. So this will keep in the fridge. I'm going to put it like in a container like this. Put the lid on it. Tell the kids what it is. Because so often they open my fridge, which is overflowing and dangerous, and they say, "Mom, there's nothing to eat, I'm hungry." Okay. So, sloppy cook. To make them then, you got 2 choices. You would take your flour tortilla. You could spread it on like this over the whole thing, put one on top, drizzle it with a bit of butter and bake it. You could also do them in halves. And usually when I'm cooking for the kids, I do them in halves like this. and I actually pan fry them, and then I can get 2 kids fed at one time. So that is our Hawaiian Ham Quesadillas. Sandra, what are those eyes for? What you looking at? All right. And that actually makes 6 dinners in 45 minutes. I have a small pile of dishes in my sink, and I have dinner for the full week. If you're interested in finding out more about the program, like I said, there will be a link up in the listing for this live stream, and there is a sample menu that you can buy for $1, and it'll give you a month's worth of recipes. So I think you get 60 recipes, and you can choose and find out if it works for your family. Certainly works for mine. We've been doing it since February, and we are hooked. Oh, okay, so this is what we made. Teriyaki chicken. This one is the Pesto chicken cheese stuffed portobello mushrooms. This is Southwestern chimichangas. This is the cilantro lime shrimp and the seasoning for the Southwestern rice. And this looks silly, but that's the gravy base for the Swedish, no, they're not called Swedish. They're called Salisbury steak meatballs. Thanks for joining me on my second ever Facebook live stream. Stay tuned, I got a special event coming up for a friend of mine who's looking for a special homemade recipe for her son. Thanks everybody. Have a really happy Father's Day.